Hey, this is Nick from Remedy667.com, and this week we're going to do another alphabet, even though we're switching up and moving on. We're still going to keep with our weekly alphabets, and these will just be things that come about later, perhaps. But anyway, today's comes from the monster from Green Hell, and let's get started. So, here we are. This is from the opening title sequence. These letters, and they just have a slight, jaggedness to them. I smoothed them out a little bit. Yeah. So we'll get through it alphabetically first, and then we'll see kind of what we need to build out from that once we get everything here. I like that it has a J. That's pretty interesting. It has a couple of them. Sorry, I'm moving a little weird. I'm trying to get through this super quick today because I have another thing I'm working on, and my mind is like kind of split between two things right now. I don't have any larger P, R. That R over there is amazing. No Q. So this is pretty nice with what's available. Ooh. All right. So I'm going to use the E for my baseline and setup of the heights and everything. So just kind of get everything feeling all right. Notice how the G, any circular or characters based on like have a rounded side are going to extend a little bit past the baseline a little bit, or the cap height. Which of these two lines? That one's the baseline on the bottom, cap height on the top. LM. That end's going to extend just a little bit. So let's see if there's another O that we can use to build our Q, and there is, and that R is going to help make the Q. We're also going to use that O to make our D along with this I. And then pretty much everything else is going to come over as a leftover, which will be fun because there's quite a bit of leftovers in this sample, which will be nice because that'll give us some variable characters, but not too many. Is there another M? Oh, that would have been too good. But you know what? we'll make our W right now. Transform, I want to reflect that just so it's a little more reversed. X is going to be K's. You know what? We're down to the Y right now. Let's just go from the E where we started and move to the left. So first we're making a D out of an O, but it's not really going to extend too much further than it does already because the D will polish itself off, for lack of a better word. C is going to extend beyond the baseline and cap height, but not quite as much. Now let's use this B a bit for reference to our D, because this side looks a little too thick to me. So what I did was I just shrunk it in a little bit, which is also going to mean we're going to have to move our little bits here. Actually, I want to keep that kind of low. I like that. It gets more of that like hand-drawn edge, although it does need to have a softer lead in. There we go, much better. And here it also does it. I think that looks a bit better. Our A comes about like there, and that'll actually extend a little bit above, the same way the C would, because it has an apex as a triangle shaped character. This feels like it needs to just be a little bit smaller on the bottom. And I'm actually going to make the P a little bit taller on the top, which feels weird, but whatever. Alright, let's make this Q real quick. Oh, so here, what we're going to do is just make a little line there, which will let us select just that. And I want to just make that a little bit out. And that makes the O a little bit, the width of the line closer to the other characters, which makes it feel a little bit more like it belongs. Let's tilt that a little bit more. We never did the Z. Okay, it's going to build our X. And then we'll just build the Y from the T once we have the K, or once we have the X. This is interesting because they're two different size Ks. I'll hold on to that big one for a minute. That looks good. I got an idea for this X. I don't think I've ever done that, broken a K like that to make an X before, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's all about experimentation, you know, with type and this is actually going to drop down a little bit too, right about to there. That doesn't show. Beautiful. This does. Not so beautiful. But perfectly made that shape. And our X will also need some smoothing out right here and right here. Whoops. Didn't mean to dip there for a bit. And there is our alphabet. A through Z. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry. We'll give it a full-on display here. And that is what it is. And here's our little there you go. So now you can see that that came from the title card. And there we are. And that is our alphabet of the week from the monster from Green Hell. Join us next week for a different piece of lettering.